If you've been trying to manifest more money, more abundance in your life, and you find yourself saying internally or externally, I'm trying to manifest more money, I'm chasing money, or you did the work and then you're wondering, where is the money? If that's you, then this is the video for you, because those statements right there and that mindset is the exact reason why money and abundance is so far away. Because money doesn't respond to the version of you who feels desperate. Money doesn't respond to the version of you who checks their bank account every 10 minutes, who panics, who overthinks, and then calls it manifesting. Money responds to identity. So the real question isn't, how do I manifest more money? What technique do I gotta do? Where's the quick fix? The real question is, who do I have to become internally for money to feel normal around me? Because once money feels normal around you, it stops feeling impossible. And once it stops feeling impossible, your outer world begins to rearrange itself around that new assumption. So for most people, they're not manifesting wealth. What they're doing is they're manifesting wanting wealth. And there's a massive difference, because wanting says that I don't have it. Chasing says it feels separate from me. Needing money says I don't feel safe yet. But assuming wealth says this is who I am. And that's exactly what Neville Goddard taught. He said that imagination creates reality, but most people misunderstand what that means. They think imagination means close their eyes, picture the cash and the cars and the houses and the clients and all the luxury. But the image itself isn't the power. The state is the power. The feeling of being the person who already has it is the creative act. And that's where the shift happens. Not the pictures, not the words, not repeating affirmations with fear behind them. The shift happens when you internally accept the new version of yourself as true. Your bank account is not the problem. Your identity is. Your income is not the problem. Your self-concept is. Your circumstances are not blocking your money. Your loyalty to the old version of you is blocking the money. Because the old version of you has habits. The old version of you reacts. The old version of you has expectations. The old version of you says, I always struggle. Money is hard to get. People like me don't become rich. I need to work twice as hard. Good things happen to other people, but not me. And that same person will sit down and say for 5 minutes, I'm wealthy, I'm abundant. Money is flowing to me easily and effortlessly. But underneath those affirmations, the identity is still poor. That's why words alone don't work, because the subconscious doesn't obey what you want once. It obeys what you keep being. It obeys your dominant emotional home. It obeys the identity that returns to it over and over again. So if you affirm wealth for 5 minutes and then spend the rest of your day thinking, speaking, walking, choosing, feeling like somebody's broke, the old version is in control still. That's why manifestation feels inconsistent for most people. They think that they're changing their reality. They say they want abundance, but then they feel panic. They say they want wealth, and then they expect struggle. They say money loves me, but then they treat it like something that always comes in and out, and it disappears as quickly as it comes in. And then they wonder why nothing changes. So Neville Goddard didn't teach people to beg in life. He taught people to assume. That means that you don't ask your reality for permission. You don't wait until your outer world approves you for this new identity to show up. You don't wait for the money to arrive before you start to decide who you are. You become the version of yourself who already has the thing, not physically first, but internally. And one of the biggest mistakes most people make is they say, well, how do I feel wealthy if I'm not wealthy? But the question reveals the trap. You're not waiting for the outside to give you permission to change inside. Neville's entire teaching was the opposite. You change first on the inside. You assume first inside. You occupy the state. Then the outer world mirrors that state that you accepted. Not because you forced it, not because you manipulated it, but because your reality follows your dominant thought, your dominant assumption. So your outer world is not the cause, it's just a reflection. The cause is your state of consciousness. The cause is what you believe yourself to be. The cause is your identity that you live from. So if you want money to change, you can't chase a new number. You have to become a new person. Not a fake person, not a delusional person, not somebody pretending that bills don't exist, but a new internal identity, a new version of you who no longer treats wealth like a miracle, a version of you who's no longer treating money like a stranger, a version of you who no longer feels shocked by abundance. If you've been feeling stuck financially, like no matter what you do, you keep circling back to the same level. It's not random, that's a pattern. And the craziest part about that is that most people will never question it. They just learn to live with it because they've been programmed to think small, to expect less, to settle. And if that doesn't change, nothing else will. And that's exactly why I created something that's gonna help with this. I put together a 6-step wealth manifestation blueprint to help you reprogram the way that you think, feel, and identify so you can actually align with wealth, abundance, love, and freedom. Not someday, but right now. Because if the internal pattern doesn't change, the results won't change. So right now you're gonna get 2 books, How to Visualize Like a World Champion, King Solomon's Secrets to Wealth. You're gonna get a workbook, audiobook, and daily affirmation cards. Normally this is $165, but right now it's available for only $44. Now, if you feel this, don't ignore it. Check the first link in the description or go to vincentsantiago.com/my-book and be honest with yourself. Are you ready to change the pattern or keep repeating it? So here's a quick test to know if you have a money rejection complex. When you imagine yourself receiving large sums of money, do you feel peace? Do you feel anxiety? Do you imagine yourself arguing with people about who's gonna receive the money and things like that? That internal dialogue is the current reality speaking to you. It's the identity that has a ceiling, not because money's limited, but because you have a level of abundance that feels emotionally safe. That's your thermostat. When you go in a room and thermostat is set to 75 degrees, it might go up to 80. Somebody may open the door or window and the temperature might rise, but then it'll kick back in and it'll go back down to 75. So that's your internal thermostat, your financial thermostat. If you get a large sum of money and you might feel uncomfortable, so you'll find a way to bring it back down to that baseline. So what we're doing here is we're expanding that so that you can be open to receiving more and feeling more comfortable with that new number. So you have to determine that number because receiving more money is not the hard part. Becoming the person who can hold, who can keep it, who can multiply it and normalize that money, that's where the real shift happens. And that's why this work matters so much, because your identity decides what feels normal. And what feels normal is what you keep recreating in your life. If struggle feels normal, then you'll find a way to find reasons and find a way to sabotage and go back to that struggle. If lack feels normal, then you'll keep interpreting life through lack. If waiting feels normal, then you'll always feel like somebody who's coming but never quite there. And when wealth starts to feel normal, your behavior changes, your posture changes, your decisions change, your conversations change, your standards change, and your opportunities change as well. And when that changes, you stop moving like somebody who's asking life to rescue them. You start moving like somebody who's in control of their lives. And you stop asking, how do I get more money? Where's the money coming from? You start asking, what would be normal for the version of me who already is wealthy? Imagine $30 million deposited into your bank account right now. How would you feel? Would you panic? Would you obsess? Would that version of you talk about money like it's hard? It's just like qualifying for a job. So you have your resume, you turn it in, and you can lie on your resume, and that can get you in the door, but eventually they're gonna find out and say, hey, wait a minute, and then you're out of there. So it's kind of like the same thing. You have to qualify for this job, this new version of you, in order to keep this state, in order to keep the abundance that's in this new person's life. That version of you who builds, who creates, who sells, who speaks. The version of you is different. The energy is different. And they're not acting, they're just who they are. They're not chasing money, they're moving like somebody who money already belongs to. That's the shift. Now, for the next 24 hours, I want you to say this within yourself. Money knows where to find me. Drop that in the comment section. Go ahead and like this video, because commenting alone is not magic. It's making a decision. You're done chasing. You're done begging. You're done identifying with lack. So comment that, say it, speak it, feel it, and watch your reality begin to shift and respond to what you are, not what you want. All right, take care.